I've been flying from town to town, from London to Taiwan. I've been all around the globe trying to protect your soul.
Okay, now change this oil. It's pretty self-explanatory, but for some reason I get a lot of requests for videos like this, so you gotta give the people what they want. Here it is. Okay, so 19 horse Kohler Command Pro carbureted engine. If we look right down through here, this is one of the things I love about these Walker Bs. There's the starter right there. Right there. You can unbolt that thing and drop it right out through the bottom here. Can you see that? Drop it right out through the bottom. It's not like my other Walker where they say you have to remove the engine, but you really don't. You take the 4 bolts out on the bottom, take the belt off the other side, and then you can actually just tip the engine up and pull that starter right out. You don't have to disconnect any of that stuff. Some people go to the extreme of taking the blower out. That's a living nightmare. I don't ever suggest taking that blower out unless you absolutely have to. But anyway, you don't have to pull the engine on those. You just, like I said, loosen the 4 bolts, take the belt off the other side, and you can tip the engine up. I've done it before where I've tipped the engine up and pulled it out. I've done it where I just turn the engine sideways and you can kind of wiggle it up. It's pretty much right in here, but all the way down, and you can just wiggle it right out. But it's really not that hard. I've changed the starter in like a half hour. It's not a big deal at all. But this one's really nice. You just unbolt it and drop it right out through this opening here and done. But anyway, 10mm wrench. And if I can get it on there, break it free, because apparently Lou Frigno put this thing on here. And I just get it to where it's just starting to drip out of there now, and you can reach in there usually with your hand and then just loosen it more. But maybe I'll just do it with the wrench. It'll be easier since I'm holding the camera. And just loosen it up. That oil's pretty clean. Well, it's only been, I showed you guys in yesterday's video, 250 hours was the last time I changed this, and it's at 296 right now. So it's pretty clean looking oil. And it's not even 50 hours yet. Oh. And you know, the recommendation is 100 hours in almost every manual, but I change everything out at 50 hours. It's cheap insurance, and I just feel better doing it. So once I get that broke free and it's starting to come out, I just take this out here to let air behind it, and it flows out a lot faster. But just to show you, I just ran my finger underneath that oil that's coming out. Look how clean that is. It's not even black. So let me just touch on this real quick. The video I made yesterday about I commented in the small part when Billy's stuff showed up, that negative side effects of steroids and why we don't do them. And I had a few people comment, "You're wrong, that's not how it works, you're full of crap, this and that." And the only thing that popped into my head was, there's a guy that does steroids. Because they're the only ones that will argue with facts and science on steroids. Okay, now, very simple. There's the oil filter right there, like I showed in yesterday's video. For those of you that watch it, 250. I write it on there with a Sharpie paint marker, and that way I don't have to keep looking back in records on paper or anything. All I have to do is hop off the mower, or before I get on the mower, just look at the oil filter, and it'll tell me exactly when I change the oil. Makes it 10 times easier. So, couple turns, loosen it up, and like I showed you guys in yesterday's video, all of the oil buildup and everything that's down there, is because of the issues that I've been having with these filters. Now, I've run, like I said in yesterday's video, for years and years I've ordered them by the case. Oregon or rotary filters, off-brand filters. I've never had an issue with all the mowers I've run them on. And so, except for this mower. This engine, for some reason, does not like those filters. So, I got Kawasaki filters, and I put those on here, even though it's a Kohler. And because I've never had an issue on any machine with those either. And that obviously didn't work, because this is a Kawasaki filter right here. I have all this oil buildup, like you can see it on my hands just from touching the filter. So I actually decided I'm not going to mess with that stuff anymore. I went and bought an OEM Kohler filter. I'm going to put that on there. That's what was on this thing stock when I got it. So I'm going to put that on there, and hopefully it solves this problem. I've never, ever in my life, out of the many mowers that I've owned, I think somebody asked me the other day, and I counted them up real quick. I think that I had, see, Kawasaki. It's actually underneath all that crud. But I think since I've been in business, 23 mowers, 24 mowers, something like that, and I've never had this issue. But apparently now I do have this issue. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put an OEM Kohler on there, and we'll find out. We'll run it for another 50 hours. And we'll find out if I have the same problem. I've checked it on every single one of the filters. None of them are leaking, or I mean, none of them are loosening up. They're all still nice and snug tight, so it's not like they're backing off. That was my initial thought, and some people suggested that, and you're very, very correct. That would be a thing to check, and it is a common problem with mowers. A lot of filters do back off for some reason. It's just the way it is. But that hasn't been an issue at all. None of the filters I put on here have backed off. They've all been tight when I've taken them back off, but for some reason, they all still leak around them. Okay, so here's the new Kohler fuel filter that's going on it. Again, I've run off-brand, I've run whatever on them, never an issue, and I still don't have an issue with that. I just figured since I was there getting the oil filter, I'd get the fuel filter as well. That has to be changed out. But here's the Kohler premium oil filter. So we're gonna put this on, and we're gonna see what happens. Like I said, I won't know till spring when I run this thing for another 50 hours, and we will see. You know, that's another thing. You always got to make sure that this surface is clean. Your seal, make sure it's clean. I always take a little bit of oil and smear it on there. It's just the way I've always been taught to do it before you put it on there. And you make sure that the engine itself is super clean where this screws onto. So I've always taken all them precautions and still have the issue. So I don't know. But anyway, we're going to try this and we're going to see what happens. Okay, like I told you guys, this thing has 296 hours on it. We're going to take this paint marker. I don't even know if white will show up in here. It should. Maybe if I make it big enough. I'm just going to write 300. It kind of shows up. I'm going to write it one more time over it in black Sharpie. Usually Sharpie doesn't hold out. It just usually doesn't last in duration in between oil changes. That's why I use paint markers. But I can't find my black paint marker, so the white one it is, but I'm going to take a Sharpie and write it on there again anyway. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this oil cleaned up out of here. That way I will know if this is actually leaking again, because I will see more of it in there. And over inside there, right there, is the big fuel filter, and we got to get that off so we can change that as well. Okay, I didn't film that. There's the fuel filter right there. Now, normally what I do is I put a line clamp on each side of the filter, and then I pull the clamps off and change out the filter, and just a few drips come down. Well, I can't get in there to get line clamps on there, so I just threw up a Hail Mary and took the clips off, and gas was pouring out everywhere. The good thing is it cleaned up all the oil that was in there, but it poured gas everywhere, and it stinks to high hell inside my garage now. So what I'm going to do is the fuel line. There's so much slack on this thing. It goes down all the way through. I have a whole drawer full of fuel shutoff valves, and there's not one on this mower. I think personally, every mower should come with a fuel shutoff valve. It's a safety feature. If something happens and you have a gas leak or a gas leak coming from the carburetor or something, this thing starts on fire, first thing you can do is shut that freaking fuel shut off. You can shut the fuel off to the engine. You know, I mean, there's a lot of reasons why it's safer to have it on there. I don't know why. There's so many mowers I see nowadays that don't have them, and I don't understand it. What I'm going to do now is pour the oil in. It's about 2 quarts. I use Kawasaki 1040. I use it in everything. And you actually pour in 1 full quart and the next one all the way down to the 8-ounce mark. And that's usually about standard for every mower I have. Sometimes they take a little bit more, maybe a little bit less, but that's pretty much the standard amount. Okay, so what we're going to do is, since we have slack, we're going to put right here, we are going to put a shutoff. And while I'm doing this, I'm going to talk to you guys about something. Now, I mentioned it in yesterday's video, and I just wanted to tell you guys again that be on the lookout for Saturday. Like I said, it is going to be at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, because that's his time. And so I believe that makes it for the East Coast where I'm at, I believe that makes it 7 p.m. for my time. So I am going to be doing a live interview with Ben from Acme Mowing, and he's already done a couple of them. He's done one with Brian's Lawn Maintenance, and he's done one with Johnny Mow. So I believe he's got a whole bunch more coming up too. I'm not really positive on everyone he has coming up, but I know that I'm one of them. So be on the lookout for that. I believe I spoke to Ben this morning. I believe he is putting together a little video, like an advertisement type thing for this. So that will be up today as far as I know. I didn't give myself enough room on this clamp here, but that'll be alright because I don't think I need it right now. But that'll be up today, so you guys will see the advertisement for that at some point today. Like I said, it'll be up. And as you guys can tell, this is nice and simple. Super easy to do. I don't know what's going on with this clip here. I hate these clips. I've never been a fan of these. Usually I will take them out and just replace them with high pressure fuel line clips, like fuel injector clips they call them. Because these get brittle over time and they end up just falling apart, but they will do the job for now. What I need them to do, and that takes care of that. So now I can just turn it and shut the fuel off, turn it, and let the fuel flow through, and that's all there is to it. So that'll be about the end of that. That is that's the Walker B to date. So everything we've done in this, we've flushed the hydro system out, put new hydro filters on, new hydro fluid obviously, changed the oil, new filter, switched back to the Kohler filters. We'll try that and see how it goes. And change the fuel filter and put in a fuel shutoff, which is desperately needed. I like them for multiple reasons. Like I've told you guys before, I pour in fuel. I don't use stable. I don't like the stuff. I've seen it crystallize over the winter and it leaves little tiny white particles in the fuel and it'll screw a carburetor right up. So I use Lucas oil stabilizer, or Lucas fuel stabilizer and cleaner, and a little bit of K100, and I start the mower up, I shut the fuel off, and I let it run until it dies. So I like it for that reason, and I also like it so that I can shut the fuel off when I'm changing the fuel filter. And if you ever drive a mower back onto a trailer and you see that it's leaking fuel out of the carburetor or something, you can quick reach over and shut that fuel off. I think they should all come with it. For some reason, not many of them do anymore. I don't know why, but either way, so the last thing we have to do to this thing, besides give it a bath, it's dirty as hell, is get these blades off here, sharpen them back to a 30-degree angle, factory edge, and balance them, and this machine will be good to go for the season, for Billy to just take off and run with it. So other than that, I think we're good to go on this machine. So tomorrow I will take care of these blades. I'll film that, and I have a couple other little things I got to do, so I'll have enough for a video tomorrow anyway. But like I said, keep on the lookout for that video that's coming Saturday. Check out, if you're not subscribed to Ben at Acme Mowing, go subscribe to him and watch out for the premiere that he will be putting out later today, I believe he said. And make sure you have it marked on your calendar for that live interview on Saturday. And I think that's about it for today. So, as always, guys, you don't have to do it our way. You don't have to use the products we use, and nothing that we say in these videos will ever imply so. That you have to do it that way or use what we use. I kind of stumbled on my words there for a minute. Anyway, I don't know. I'm done with this winter. I'd rather sit in a bathtub full of scissors than take one more day of winter. So I'm ready to get out there and get rocking. But I will see you guys in the next one.